Welcome to Top Shelf Dusters podcast. I am Amanda. I am back this week because apparently Jesse can't handle the simple task of introducing people correctly.
Oh.
So I am back as the fact checker, and I am joined with Jesse.
Rest in peace to the New York Rangers. They can lower my casket at my funeral, so they can let me down one final time.
Very theatrical. Joined
What I
with
do.
Brett.
I should have had something more planned, but the Cats are back in the final. Here we go. Best defensive forward in the NHL against the best offensive forward in the NHL. I think it's going to be an epic matchup. Let's go.
Ethan.
I'm supposed to go after Cass, but I'll go.
Fine.
Amanda, you have one simple
I need-
job, and
I
you were
need-
just crapping all over Jesse about
I
it.
need a second.
I had to address Ethan because he's crying.
I need a
So
second. Jesse, play the
This
song
here.
again. Play the song again. Okay, Cass, you can go.
Oh my god.
Oh, I would like to thank the Florida Panthers for royally screwing the NHL. Because if the New York Rangers were in the Stanley Cup final, the escrow would have been a lot higher, and the salary cap probably would have been a lot higher in coming years. But now, because no one's going to watch the Stanley Cup final besides people in the state of Florida and the great nation of Canada, we are screwed. Thank you very much.
Great nation. Jeez.
When did that happen?
Hyperbolic.
He created hockey.
The only good
Yes.
thing they've done.
That means
people in the
so
Ice
Cass,
Age could have done that.
So Cass, if you feel that way, I don't want to hear any crap from people saying that the NHL rigged it for the Panthers to make it.
Oh, absolutely not. But I'm just saying, like, between New York and Edmonton compared to Florida and Edmonton, there is going to be a severe lack of viewership in the United States.
Who gives?
I thought
it directly affects escrow.
I thought the fix was in.
no.
Affects the cap.
I thought the fix was in for Connor McDavid to get his first.
I think it is.
They
I
say
concur.
everything is fixed. It's so annoying. It's fixed. That's why my team didn't win. The NHL rigged it.
That's why my team
About
lost.
A year ago, Brett was saying it was rigged for Vegas so they can win. in the
Yeah,
city.
I recall Brett saying that like a year ago.
No.
Get the
Panthers
bobblehead,
were
Brett,
hurt,
tonight.
and they couldn't compete with Vegas's depth. That's the truth that there
This
is.
is-
They
this
were
is
not. They
gonna
were
be
not
a
good
big
enough
series.
to win the final round.
Amanda, welcome back. Welcome back, Amanda.
very happy to be back, especially now that Jesse's Rangers have lost. Makes it
Yeah.
much more enjoyable.
Can I mute her?
I would personally like to blame Amanda because ever since the Canes went out, all her picks are out. So
Ever since Ethan made fun of La Bamba, he went pretty downhill after that. So
That is
Well,
exactly the why his team's gone.
So as you
I
cut
stand
your
by
hair,
my
just
stance.
Sing it to yourself, okay?
Let's start with NHL news. Jesse, this one's big for you. So as a mainly Kraken fan, because why would you be a Rangers fan?
The Seattle Kraken have finally announced that they are hiring Dan Bylsma, who was the head coach for their AHL affiliate, the Coachella Valley Thunderbirds. There's too many birds. But he is replacing Dave Haxtell as head coach. He did win one Stanley Cup. What was it, over a decade ago? Something like that.
It was in 2009. It was when Pittsburgh went against Detroit in back-to-back finals, but Pittsburgh won the second time.
Yeah, so over a decade ago, and then he's kind of been out of the NHL since. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, hold on.
He coached Buffalo for a little while. And then
Did he?
He was the head coach for Buffalo for 2 years, and we had a whole discussion, Alan and myself. Alan, throwback to the Winter Classic
Shows you how much I've paid attention.
episode. It's a good hire, I think, but he did have some issues in his last NHL stints. He did get that Stanley Cup with the Penguins. However, then he went to the Sabres. That was quickly ended after 2 years because he had some issues with Jack Eichel.
That's right.
Then he went to Detroit, not as a head coach, but an assistant coach. And that didn't go so great. And that was a 2-year stint as well. But what I think Kraken fans can be excited about is he's been in the system for a little while. I still think you should look outside. This is just another kind of recycled head coach situation, even though he's being brought up from the AHL. But it could go either way.
Oh, jumping on Ethan's in the system point. Jesse, how do you feel? Like, how come Jay Leach wasn't given an opportunity? Like, I'm obviously biased towards him. He was the Providence Bruins head coach. He's the assistant coach on the Kraken now, but he was sought after for a while for a head coaching candidate. You know if he even got an interview or anything like that, or do they not look at him like that?
I don't think they've announced who they interviewed. I'm sure that maybe they did. But I think that it was Bylsma's to take, honestly. I don't really think that we're going to go any other direction.
He's had so much success down in the AHL, too. It's kind of hard to say no. But I'm just surprised. There were a lot of teams I know before Jay Leach moved from Providence to Seattle that were interviewing him for head coaching and stuff like that. And I wanted him to come here before we hired him in Montgomery, too. Because obviously he's familiar with our youngins over here as well.
Has the Jessica Campbell hire happened officially yet?
I don't
No.
think so. No.
It might be worth just mentioning. I mean, if you haven't paid attention to NHL news, the Kraken are considering making, I just said her name, Jessica Campbell, the first NHL coach in any capacity. And she would be the assistant coach, I believe. So we'll see where that goes.
So it sounds like Dan Bilesma kind of wants to bring her up with him, which is good. You saw Rod Bod, the Schnage, protect all his coaches the last couple contracts he had. It was nice to see Dan, Disco Dan as they call him, bringing up his assistant hopefully with them.
Is that his official nickname, Disco Dan?
I think according to Alan it is.
Which, real quick, that reminds me, since Amanda, you weren't here, just like super quick, what are your thoughts about Waddle? That's what I called him last week.
Don
Waddle,
Waddle.
baby, waddle, baby, waddle, baby,
He's not
waddle.
a duck.
Oh, he is.
He's a hit
He's
song.
a lame duck.
But how do you feel about that? He leaves right after getting Brenda Moore to stay.
Which is great. Like, happy for that at least. I'm interested to see how this offseason goes because there are so many hirings listed to me, like re-signings that do need to happen. So I'm curious, this interim GM who's in now, how he does with it, who he goes after, tries to make stay. Waddell was always like a 50-50 guy for me because like there were times where like he didn't make those big moves that the team needed, but then look at this past season, getting Gensel and getting Kuznetsov, like that was brilliant. So sad
Oh,
to
they
see him
lost.
go.
They lost.
No. Shh. Like your team didn't lose too. Don't want to hear
Actually,
they did.
every
We
one of
weren't
us except for
expecting to go
Brett.
anywhere.
Every one of us except for Brett no longer has teams playing. So we all suck. How's that?
Just the Bruins suck more.
Well, Amanda and I are over. Jesse and Ethan are still on the grieving stages.
Yeah, I'm committing seppuku tonight after this.
Now, the last thing I'll ask, because I know Amanda listens to the podcast when she's not on. Of course, we all do. How do you feel about the Canes hiring a previous chemist as their new GM?
If it works, it works.
Fair.
I'll just leave it at if
How
it
do you-
works, I'm happy.
How do you feel about an Allmark for Neckis straight up trade?
Take it, Amanda.
Natchez.
Take it.
Natchez.
Just take it.
I'll learn to say his name once he becomes a Bruin, okay?
But
Make
also,
it
yes,
happen.
I will take him. Thank you.
Really? Oh, okay.
He's
I'm
It
down with
already
that
seems
success.
like he is out the door, so might as well.
Nate just isn't a center though, is he?
I don't know. I think he is.
I think he's a winger.
You know how much he's asking for right now, or how much they expect him to ask for, Amanda?
So he's a right winger, and let me see about that.
A
they were
spot in
saying-
the history museum because there's so many spots to be filled there.
So this last contract that ends now, he was getting $3 million per year.
He's an
Probably 4 or
RFA, though,
5.
right?
Yes,
gonna
he's
be
an
looking at 6 or
RFA.
7, right?
I think the bigger thing is how long. I think that's the biggest thing for players right now.
So basically, the biggest thing that the Bruins fans are excited about right now around here is him, Pasta, and Zach are all on a line in that world championships where Pasta won that where the Czechs won the gold. So I think that's what we all know. Allmark's going at this point. It's just a matter. I don't want to see a first round pick at this point. Like, I'd rather get an actual NHL caliber player because the Bruins have screwed up the minimal first round draft picks that they had under Sweeney so far.
I think you're putting way too much stock in that team.
Bruins.
Well, just the sense of we want these guys who are really good at the men's worlds.
No, I'm saying I don't want a draft pick. I need a player, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
want to take the chance for Don Sweeney to screw it up yet again, including the 3 in a row that he screwed up almost 10 years ago now.
I know
But
that pain.
I think
Let's try. Yeah,
I think the Bruins can get more for Olmark, in my opinion. No offense.
I would hope so. No, I mean, we know they need a center. So I'll do Draisaitl for Omar straight up. Whatever.
Good luck with that.
Anything else you want to
Thank
say,
you.
Amanda? Or have you said your piece?
I think
She's at
I have
peace.
said my. Yes, I have I've had my time to grieve, like Cass said, so I am all good.
Give me
As
another
long as
week.
as long as y'all learn how to pronounce these daggone names for the Canes people.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Ashish.
I need some
Utah.
grieving tips. Somebody send me some texts.
Here's a grieving tip. Get the graphics ready.
Panthers lose.
I don't think they're going to lose, but we could talk about that later.
Yeah. Utah, they've got some name and logo finalists. I think, Brett, you probably have a better list about the names.
So it's nothing official. It was just on a talk show. And
The Pat McAfee show. Hey,
the Pat
have
McAfee
us-
show. Yes,
have us
that's
on
correct.
your show.
And
Best punter of all time.
Pat McAfee was trying to see if he could get like a final names, and basically you hear, oh man, I just said the guy's name.
Ryan Smith.
Ryan Smith. So it's so forgettable. Ryan Smith, he basically says, he's like, Mammoth is up there at the top and Yeti is up there at the top. So those are basically two of the ones that are getting the top votes. But I've watched a lot of NHL name history stuff, and sometimes whoever wins the vote doesn't ultimately be what the team decides, because it's still really the ownership's decision to make it. So they
Swarm and Hive were the other two, I think.
Swarm and Hive would be my picks. Maybe he said those. I just don't remember saying the other two.
It should be Hockey McHockey Face. The Utah Hockey McHockey Face.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, as right now, and there's probably some clarification that I think most people know, but there's definitely a few people who might not know, because it came out that they're applying for trademarks for all those things that say Utah Hockey Club. So it led to a couple of people make the assumptions, oh, this is the name they're going with. That's so boring. And if you,
They said
as
that.
long as you, yeah, exactly. They said, hey, this first year we're going to be Utah Hockey Club, to give us a year to create the branding and get something that we know the fans will get behind. One thing that's interesting with the logos that sticks out to me is we're kind of going to see the color scheme that Utah Hockey Club is going to go with, which is like kind of like a glacial blue and a very dark blue and white. Those are going to be their colors for this first year.
Before, there we are.
Too late.
See that one
So-
right there that you're seeing? That's like the Utah Argentinians to me.
Argentinians?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Argentine
It is very, yeah.
I don't like this one.
To me, this color scheme screams Yeti to me, so it feels like they know that's how they're gonna go with. Like if they were gonna be the Utah Yeti, these are the colors I feel like that they would go with.
Brandon, the owner of our sister page, Freeze the Puck Hockey, will have a conniption if it's the Yeti or the Mammoth.
He's
or
gonna have a
anything ice
conniption
related,
regardless.
because he feels that it's too closely attached to the Avalanche.
Him and every other
Avalanche
Abs
had a Yeti
fan.
mascot at one point, so let's make
They're
it
right
that
next
way.
to each other.
Just
They're
so we
right.
can
Yeah.
get a reaction.
Yeah, it's almost like, oh my gosh, they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
Maybe they share similar history and background.
Him and every other Avs fan is already up in arms crying about it, so I don't really know what anyone's going to do. It is what it is. Get over it.
Rivalry.
The one
You know,
thing
which-
that's sorry, you can go, Ethan.
Super quick. It's a rivalry, and I think it's a great spark because the Arizona Coyotes, their rivalries were mostly Pacific Division teams because they were Pacific Division up until last year, 2 years ago, whenever the Kraken came in.
Yeah, whenever the Kraken
And-
came in.
3 years ago.
So 3 years ago, my goodness.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to really spark some stuff.
Yeah. I was gonna say I like the Utah Yeti is a good pick. Because so with the Utah Jazz, you've got the 4 letters and the 4 letters. So if they went Utah Yeti, 4 letters, 4 letters. So that's another thing that I think is going for that name.
Let's see the other ones. Yeah, that one's.
I think
Okay.
you think this one's garbage? I think this one's the most
I
clean
think
out of all of them.
But put it on a jersey.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So I feel like they need to go with the circle for the center crest, and then the shoulder logo can be the one with the Utah outline.
That one right there.
That's very similar to Dallas Stars with the state outline.
What what else are you gonna do?
No, I'm not saying shame on you, Utah, for stealing our idea.
Here
I'm
comes
saying
here comes
that's a good
another
idea.
rivalry. Here comes another rivalry.
It will be Central Division. So
That one, but less elongated.
Well,
I think that's
it only looks like that because I had to fit it into
No,
the.
yeah. I was just poking at you.
I think that one, that one makes sense for the center crest. I like this one a lot, honestly, but I
I
could
gotta
see
see
why
what you guys are looking at.
I could see why it would be a shoulder crest. I think this one looks clean, honestly, but I mean, I can't picture that being the center crest of a
No, that
hockey
one-
jersey.
That one wouldn't work at all.
Yeah.
The other one with the lines, if you go back to that one, you can kind of see that one working because those stripes will go all the way across, kind of like the Panthers jersey does with their gold and white here. The
Mhm.
Montreal Canadiens jersey does that too. So
The more
it's something
I'm
that
looking,
hockey jerseys do.
the more I'm looking at the word Utah, the less I think it's a real word.
That happens all the time to me. I totally.
It
get
looks
that.
like
Utah.
it looks like it's inverted in some weird way, and it's supposed to be like what?
Hatu.
What do you guys think of the slanted H line? That's like something that stuck out to me when they released this. Like that line in the middle of the H is slanted and not straight.
I didn't even notice that until
It's
just
sneezed.
now.
Same.
Now you'll never unsee it.
I think now that I'm looking at it, it's like you have minimal creativity right now, and here's your chance.
Right.
But the color thing that you talked about, Brett, that is interesting. Whether or not they're going to keep the color scheme, you have to assume they will.
Right. I think they will, especially if it's Yeti. I don't think it'll be Blizzard, but this would work for Blizzard too.
I was talking to Brandon about, because he's big in graphic design stuff, and so it's like, how do you find a color scheme that isn't already used in the NHL? Yellow is one of the fewest used.
Utah
but
Swarm.
the more I've thought about it, the two colors I can think of that are not used are pink and brown. Brown would work for me.
Yeah. Brown would be hard to do. You definitely need a lot of good complementary colors to make brown work.
Yeah.
And pink would be a bold choice. I'm not saying it couldn't work, but it would be a bold choice.
Brown would work if they used the poop emoji as a logo.
The Utah.
And if they didn't, many people would use it for their team.
Yeah,
Utah
you're right.
Cougars.
They would call it that anyway if it was Brown.
That's another thing that Avs fans can get mad over because I've definitely seen that meme before.
The Avs have claim to everything you can think of. Okay, so before we move on, because we should move on, but super quick, if the top 4 are Mammoth, Yeti, Swarm, and Hive, what do you guys pick? Amanda, you go first.
Yeti, for sure.
Jesse.
I would prefer Swarm.
Brett?
Yeah, I'm torn between the two that were just said. I think Utah Yeti works for so many reasons, but I think Swarm is more unique, and you get a chance to kind of do some unique branding with that, and probably some more unique colors.
Cass?
I want a complete separation from the Avs, so I'm going Swarm.
I'm going to go Mammoth.
Mammoth.
I think Mammoth works for the history. Utah claims a lot of history about the Ice Age and dinosaurs and stuff like that. Yeti, it's too close to Colorado. I will give Colorado that. So Swarm is intimidating. Hive is not.
Yeah, I don't like Hive.
See, with these, there is not one that I'm sold on. Like, when the Kraken were coming into fruition and there were all those years leading up to that, I was dead set on the Kraken. Like, I heard Seattle Kraken and I was like, that's it. That's it. That's it. There's nothing else that you could choose. There were Seattle Totems that were thrown around. There were a bunch of other names that were weak that were thrown around. But when someone told me... No, absolutely not, please. But when somebody said Seattle Kraken, I was sold on that. There was a guy who worked with Seattle with the hockey team that came into my job at one point, and I had asked him, I was like, "Do you guys have an idea for a name yet?" He's like, No. You know, obviously I can't say anything. And I'm like, if it's not the Kraken, I'm not in. Like, if it's not the Seattle Kraken, I am not bought in. It has to be that. I was dead set on that. There is not one name for the Utah hockey club that's being thrown around that I can get behind.
And that's why they became the Kraken.
That's it. It was because of me.
That was that conversation.
And he was like, this guy I talked to said he's not in unless.
It was all me. I am taking credit for it.
You some of a percentage of the merchandising. What is going on?
They're not even...
Well, they've got to figure out that other guy.
Yeah, they're not even giving that other guy percentage of the merchandise, so I doubt I'm going to get anything. But I'll take full credit for that.
That's a cool
I actually
story.
asked Jesse who the mascot should be, and he said, I don't know, some troll.
Some troll.
Boo is one, too.
Make it look like
speaking
cats.
about mascots. If it is the mammoth, what the hell? If it is the mammoth, I want it to be Manny the Mammoth from Ice Age.
Oh my gosh,
it's perfect. You heard it here first.
Ray Romano will have to be in attendance at all games.
Every single game, put on a suit.
Well, let's move on.
Did you guys find out about the things you guys had scheduled there for news? Did anything come out?
Nope.
I have not seen any injury news about the Stars or Rangers.
Nope.
So we'll save that for another episode.
It'll probably be next week. I'd be shocked if we didn't have that by next week.
Yeah.
So,
but we have some trophies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The state of hockey finally got a trophy. And no, it is not the Stanley Cup. So
the female equivalent.
Yeah, the PWHL Minnesota team won the Walter Cup. That's what it's called. Over Boston, right? They had, I don't remember what the score was. I think maybe someone else has that. But they finally got a trophy. Good for them.
It was a 3-0 or 2-0. It was a shutout. So what's crazy about that series is Minnesota had a 2-1 lead. So it was a best of 5. So first to 3 wins. So Minnesota had a 2-1 lead playing home at Minnesota. The game goes to overtime, tied 0-0.
Streamers fly.
Double overtime. Double overtime. Minnesota scores, and they celebrate, acting like they won the championship. Then they review the play, and it was goaltender interference. It comes back.
Boston challenged. It wasn't
Boston challenged.
It wasn't an official review. It was a challenge by Boston. Yeah.
I thought so. It's not like the NHL where the overtime it's automatic.
No,
okay.
Boston actually challenged it. Yeah.
Well, clutch challenge, and Boston would win the game in overtime shortly after the call was reversed, forcing a game 5. But Minnesota said, "We are not doing that again." I watched all of game 5. Minnesota completely dominated that game. That's why it was a shutout. So congrats to
What was the final
Minnesota. It was 2-0 or 3-0.
Right?
Pretty much, yeah.
It was 3-0.
3-0. Yep.
Outstanding all year.
I think the third one was an empty netter. Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, Minnesota's Taylor Heineke, or Heisey, won the MVP of the tournament. I believe she was the number 1 overall draft pick in
Yep.
the PWHL draft earlier last year. Oh, good on her. Good for Minnesota. Hell of a series. Just like the Florida Panthers messing up the escrow. Way to go, Boston, screwing up the PWHL budget by making them fly back to Boston. So, way to screw the
Oh,
pooch on that
boy.
one, ladies.
And we didn't
I
talk
did-
about this. Go ahead, Cass.
I was just gonna say, no one's heard anything about expansion for next year, right?
For the PWHL, no.
No.
Correct.
I mean, they got to get branding for these 6 teams done first.
I know, but like, I feel like it's a missed opportunity. Like, I was watching that game 4 in Maine with my father-in-law, my father, and my brother, and none of them ever saw a PWHL game before. But like Brett said, with that crazy double overtime story, all of them tuned in Wednesday without ever watching a single game. And it's just exactly, like I said last week, it's exactly what the sport needed, the hype up to it. Unfortunately, I had to work Wednesday night, so I couldn't watch the game. But as a Boston fan, it looks like I didn't miss too much. But their goalie played lights out. The Boston goalie played lights out, and it seemed like it was a hell of a series, too.
One thing with expansion cast that I think would benefit the league. I don't think it's going to happen soon, but the league is stacked. Like each team is stacked. That's why these games are like 0-0, 2-0, because the defensive core and the goaltending is all the best and all like high tier. So expansion would help kind of like dilute the talent a little bit, so you can kind of get some high scoring.
I get that, but you got like the Amanda Kessels, the people coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah,
to join
exactly.
the draft too. You get all these
Mhm.
seniors coming out, so they need somewhere to go
Yep.
as well.
So the talent level is going to be even more stacked with just in these 6 teams. So hopefully expansion soon.
I think, oh, man, it could go either way because on one hand, you want to see cities get teams and you want to see expansion. But if you expand too fast, you're going to dilute that talent pool. And all of a sudden, I could see it becoming less entertaining.
Okay.
It's almost like you've got 6 all-star teams.
That's right.
And that's great. When we first started talking about this, when the news came out about the PWHL, all of that, boy, they just started in January. That's
Yep.
crazy to think about.
We're in June already.
But like they hit hard, they skate fast, and that's what I said way back then. And that's what makes it exciting. I think they need to get a TV deal, and then
Definitely.
there are people out there who are playing hockey who would be in the PWHL who are like 14, 15, 16. Let them grow up. Let's see the depth of the pool kind of rise and then expand. And hopefully that's what they do, in my opinion.
The other thing I think about is I wonder, Mark Walter, he privately funded this all himself. He's the owner of the LA Dodgers. I wonder if he wants the league to sustain itself before they expand. You know what I mean?
That's-
Like he
That
put
would
up
make
his
sense.
own money to get this thing going. I wonder if he wants to see it
That makes sense.
thrive. Like as far as the TV thing goes, like Ethan said, like I didn't even think of that because in Boston it's on the same channel that the Bruins are on. All their games are on, as long as they're not playing at the same time. So in New England we don't have a problem watching it, but like if you're not or from around here, you can't watch anything. You know what I mean? So that's something they kind of need to figure out as well. Seeing ESPN half the time has cornhole and freaking ultimate frisbee.
They're on YouTube, aren't they?
That's what
Correct.
that's what I was about to say is you can watch it for free on YouTube, and obviously that's not making them
Right.
It might not be making them any money. I don't know. If it is making them money, it's not a lot. So definitely need a TV deal. I enjoyed being able to just watch it on YouTube, but I know that it would be better for them if it was on TV than just on YouTube.
That's the financial move.
Right.
Like, for instance,
Right.
Like, for instance, my dad would not have known how to do that if it wasn't on NESN. Like,
See, but
in my opinion, you lose that whole generation.
there are so many NHL fans that are having struggles to just even watch their team, like the Dallas Stars. If you don't have cable or a cable provider that has Bally Sports, you have to pay $20, and half the time the app doesn't work. And that's the case for many teams.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we've got to figure this whole broadcast thing out. But if you are, what's his face that owns the LA Dodgers,
Mark Walter.
yeah, Walter. It depends how invested he is. Is this a side thing that he's just hedging his bet on, or is he really wanting to see it grow? If you're really wanting to see it grow, strike a deal with ESPN and you're going to make some money.
He's
And
worth
you're going to get the sport to
$5.8
grow.
billion. So I think he's invested enough to start it on his own. He didn't look for additional partners, I can tell you that. So whatever
Yeah.
he had in his head for this league, he got to do because there wasn't anyone holding him back.
Signed
Hopefully,
some
Shohei
of those-
I think it
Ohtani.
will grow.
He signed
Oh,
Shohei
yeah.
Ohtani and started an entire hockey league all in 1 year.
That's not the only trophy that was awarded. The Saginaw Spirit won the Memorial Cup, and they are the first American team to ever win the Memorial Cup. Thought that was cool. I don't really have much more past that, but it looks
I remember
like
reading that. Yeah, that was crazy.
it's like the lower leagues are all of a sudden
Junior league.
starting to take over Canada's trophies.
And
Wow.
with the CHL, a majority of the teams, it's not like the NHL. A majority of the teams are Canadian. Like
Yeah.
there's only a handful of American teams, and they're all in the WHL. You've got the
Yep.
entire QMJHL, which is all in Quebec, the OHL, which is all in Ontario, and then only the WHL has American teams. So
And there's not that
Like
many of them.
JKL and NOP teams too.
I love that league.
Yeah.
That's my favorite league.
That's my favorite.
Moving on. Some vote
Matt?
stuff happened.
We got a comment. Matt said he does illegal stuff. Matt, stop doing illegal stuff.
Don't put that on
not
the
good.
internet.
Aren't you a lawyer?
Well,
Don't
he
put it in
was.
print. That's Amanda's golden rule.
He was until now.
that's right. He's gonna be getting a letter tomorrow morning.
Cease and
Yeah, someone
desist.
Screenshot that. For the
Um,
ransom.
some
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
NHL awards, they were announced, and let's
Oh,
start
boy.
off with the one we love to talk about, Mr. Slavin.
The most important
Whichever one
award.
makes you feel most guilty saying. That's the one. Amanda, you want to talk about it?
He wins the most
Won the
important
Lady
award.
Bing.
I can't with y'all. Yeah, no surprise to anyone that he won it. This is his second time ever winning the Lady Bing. Again, no surprise. Just wish he would be more recognized for his actual defensive skills rather than just lack of penalty minutes.
Do you think it should be renamed to the Lady Slavin Award?
Well, I don't know who Slavin is, but I'm okay with the Lady Slavin Award, sure.
The Jakob Award.
The Jakob.
Jacob
I had it.
Slavin.
I had to get as many Slavin jokes in there as I could.
The
Anyone wanna
most
take
gentlemanly
King
player
Clancy?
in the NHL.
King Clancy. What was King Clancy again?
So King Clancy goes to the player. So every team submits one nominee from their team. So every team has a chance to win this award. They submit one player, and it goes to the guy that best exemplifies leadership, not just on the ice, but they more look what they've done off the ice. I wasn't able to do a ton of research on Anders Lee, but I know he did a bunch of big stuff for his community, basically, and that kind of that's why you don't really hear about this one as much, because it's not about on the ice as much. I mean, Anders Lee's the captain for the Islanders, so it plays into it a little bit. But they really look at the off the ice stuff for this award.
And obviously, if it was on the ice stuff, why would an Islanders player win it?
It looks like Anders Lee did helped host a was hosting an event for a foundation to help raise money in the fight against cancer. That tournament raised more than $150,000 for the fight against cancer. So good for him.
Got to do something with all that off-season time. Sorry. Cass, you want to take your stuff? I'm done talking for a while.
I feel like we're going to get more followers and listeners on this podcast just for the pure hatred of Ethan, and I'm not here for it. So, a couple months ago, the NHLPA released their player poll, and we were too busy at the time, so we figured we'd hold on to it for an episode that no one's team is still playing that we care about. So, we're going to start it today. And the first question they asked the players was, which global destination do you want to see host NHL games? And Italy won with just under 12% of the votes.
Wild.
Do they have ice rinks
England.
in Italy?
I would assume so. They have an IIHF team.
Oh, do they?
They do. They do.
Yeah.
They're ranked like top 20. So
If you can have an ice rink in Florida, Texas, Arizona, you can have one in
Outside in LA, yeah.
that's right.
I think you'll be fine. Which NHL arena has the best ice? The Bell Center got 34.5% of the vote.
Huge.
Rogers Place, which is the Oilers. Canada Life Center, which is the Winnipeg Jets. Excel Center, which is the Minnesota Wild, and T-Mobile Arena, where it closed out the top 5 for that.
T-Mobile Arena.
That's
The T-Mobile is the weird one for sure.
Money.
It's because their equipment is the newest.
That makes
Built that
sense.
from the ground up.
Oh yeah,
True.
that makes
Like,
sense.
They have the best technology. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Climate Pledge Arena, there was an arena there already, right? It wasn't a new build.
They literally just kept the roof. Everything else about it is completely new.
Okay. Oh, I wonder if that'll change in years coming at this point.
But Bell Center, the clear winner there, right? I mean,
Oh yeah,
it's
100%.
just like huge margins there.
Which arena is the toughest to play in as a visitor? T-Mobile Arena won with 31% of the votes.
I would
PNC
probably I would say Wells Fargo Center because they throw batteries at you there.
Like I said, I went there about 4 years ago, and that place was electric, and the Flyers sucked. Speaking about sucking, PNC Arena came in second. Most of us went to a game there where Carolina lost, and I didn't feel like it was tough to play in. But TD Garden was third, thank you very much. Ball Arena was fourth, and Bell Center closes that out at fifth.
So it was basically like, which fans can you tolerate the least?
And the Leafs would be right up there.
Agreed.
Which PWHL player do you enjoy most enjoy watching? There we go, English much. Marie-Philippe Poulin, first place with 31%, of course. She's, basically right up there with the Queen as royalty in Canada, even though Canada doesn't have a Queen. Hillary Knight gets second. Sarah Nurse third. Jessie Compher is fourth, which I think she's related to JT Compher, just a guess there. Just like Sarah Nurse is probably related to Darnell Nurse. Just kidding, I know that.
She is. Yeah.
And fifth is Kendall Coyne Sheffield, who was the first captain to hoist the Waltic Trophy last week. Which player has the best style?
This was a close one. This was a close one.
Oscar first with 15%, then Willie Nylander, Austin Matthews, Kucherov, Jack Hughes, and Patrick Kane. Which player is the most challenging to face defensively? I'm kind of shocked at this one that he's still up there. Victor Hedman, 20% of the vote.
By a lot,
dude.
too.
By a lot, yeah. Second is McDavid with 9.5, and Jacob Jacob
Lady
Slavin.
Slavin.
There we go, Lady Slavin Award. Andrei Kopitar and Cale Makar. Round that up. If you need to win a face-off, who would you pick? This was shocking to me. With 14.5% of the votes, Ryan O'Reilly was first. Followed closely with less than a percentage point, Sidney Crosby, then Claude Giroux, Luke Glendening, Jordan Stahl, and then Patrice Bergeron, even though he's retired. Just kidding.
Should have been
Who
Trocheck.
is the best? Trocheck is a dark horse. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on that list next year. Oh, come back to Trocheck. I got a question for you after I'm done this.
I don't want to
Who was
talk
the
about
best
him.
playmaker? Okay, I'll die. Who was the best playmaker? Nikita Kucherov got first place with 28.5%. McDavid, Draisaitl, Panarin, Mitch Marner all round those out. Best breakout passer in the game. Makar, Quinn Hughes, Fox, Hedman, and Eric Carlson gets a nod. Shout out Tyson. Which player do you least enjoy facing but would love to have on your team? I feel like
You've
I've
said
said
Keep
that
in mind-
before.
keep
You've
in mind
said
these
this
are-
so many times.
This is voted on by the players, not by the fans.
Yes. So all you fans are wrong and can suck a giant one. Okay. Like I said, 31 of the other NHL teams would love to have Brad Marchand with 29% of the votes. Coming way down at second at 17.5%, Connor McDavid. Let's go back. First place, Brad Marchand. The only first place thing that the Bruins got this year. Okay. Then Connor McDavid.
Pasternak best fit.
Yeah, well, we don't count that because everyone can dress that way. Anyone can wear the suit, okay? No one can be as much of a donkey as Brad on the ice. Matty Tkachuk gets third. Tom Wilson gets fourth. And Nathan McKinnon gets fifth. Just like I said, anyone would love Brad Marchand or Tom Wilson on their team. And I'll even put Matthew Tkachuk on there, but he's obviously more of an offensive powerhouse than Tom Wilson or Brad Marchand. But I would take Tom Wilson on my team any day of the week, twice on Sunday, without a doubt.
Before you move on, Cass, how crazy is it that that this many players say if they can have any player on their team, they pick Marchand over McDavid? Like there's
No, who you least enjoy facing, but
Right,
would love
no,
to have on your team.
I
Yeah.
know, but still.
I think he just gets the veteran points at this point. Like he's
Yeah.
getting on the older side, but like he's just got that reputation.
Well, if you're a player voting on this, I could see why you would maybe not pick McDavid because he could be seen as like a selfish player. You want someone who's going to like share the wealth.
Which Marchand, I feel, definitely does.
Yeah. So that was that. Obviously, I think the last.
Oh, you got two
question was
more.
Do I? No, I'll just freaking shut the hell up and look again. Oh, there they are. Psych. Who is the most complete player? Wow. Still at 38%. Sidney Crosby still gets it at basically geriatric 50-year-old. Second is Alexander Barkov, Anze Kopitar, Connor McDavid, and Nathan McKinnon. You'll see the top three are wily vets still. You know, none of these younger kids have managed to get in that upper echelon
They
of that
will.
voting yet.
They will.
They will, without a doubt, once Sidney Crosby and Barkov retire, just like Bergeron retired. Who is the best stick handler? Number one, McJesus is going to be the Conn Smythe winner after the Oilers sweep. First place with 35.5%. Patrick Kane second, coming off of hip surgery. Jack Hughes third, Nikita Kucherov fourth, and McKinnon and Panarin actually tied for fifth.
Pretty much a
Oh.
bunch of the same players on all these lists.
Yeah, I mean it's recycled a little bit. To me, it's always interesting seeing like the face-off one is interesting.
Pretty balanced.
Face-off
on that.
one, the player you hate and love at the same time is always interesting to me because I'm always wondering if anyone ousts Marchand because he's had that for years, just like the face-off one with Bergeron he's had for a while too. But
Yeah.
That's that. So all
What-
my rambling.
what
Now
did-
we can. Yep.
What did you want to ask me about Trocheck?
Well, wait,
So,
before he asks, let me segue it. Let's recap the Eastern Conference Final.
No, I don't want to talk
Rangers
about
in
it.
Florida. Panthers.
I'd rather cry.
Well, here we go. Ask your question, Cass.
So on a certain podcast, someone was going off on Truba and his antics and said they should rip the C off of him. And
What
put it on
antics?
Trocheck. How
He
do you
didn't do
feel about
anything.
that?
I wouldn't give it to Trocheck.
They said he's basically a pylon out there.
He looked like a pylon out there all series. I mean, I agree with that. I didn't want Trouba to get the C in the first place, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted it to go to Kreider, but I don't think Trocheck should get it yet if he were to. I think that he should be on the team for a couple more years. He definitely has the leadership skills. He played very well with Lafreniere most of the season. That line was one of the best lines in the NHL. I think that he has the potential for it. If he stays on the team, then I could see it happening in the near future or in the future, but not anytime soon. There's a lot of people calling for Trouba to be traded. A lot of people calling for Trouba to be traded after that abysmal performance in the Eastern Conference Final.
At 2 years at $8 million, I don't think he's going anywhere. Do you want to see them do anything with Capo Caco, or do you want to just say sayonara?
I want them to get rid of him. I want them to get rid of him.
That's my greatness. It's not like a new revelation for you.
Lafreniere had a. I mean, Lafreniere kind of came out of his shell this year, right?
Keep Lafreniere. Lafreniere has shown that he is going to be a good player in the league. Get rid of Kako.
Signed next year for $2.3 million.
Yeah, they're gonna. I think they're gonna extend him before the end of next season. I mean, before the start of this season.
Now, we've obviously said over and over while we talk about these awards, they're not considering the playoffs, right? But in hindsight, which award would be the biggest shame to have been awarded? Would it be if he wins, Hellebuck winning the Vezina, or would it be Jacob Trouba winning the Mark Messier?
No one cares about the Mark Messier award, though.
Why not both?
The Messier trophy is just picked by Messier or Messier.
Yeah. No,
so that one kind of just feels like meh. Like,
yeah,
I
no one
wonder
cares
how much
about that
players
one.
even care about that one.
Who were the three nominated for Vezina? It was Hellebuck, it's Bobrovsky, and then Demko. Yeah, Demko should have won it.
Well, it hasn't been awarded yet.
It has not been awarded yet.
Oh, I think Hellebuck's going to win it, but Demko should.
Jesse, do you want to air any grievances out, or do you want Brett to just give his thoughts?
The top line needs to be taken care of. I mean, Panarin once again didn't show up in the playoffs. This is not new for him. This has happened many, many times over the last couple seasons where he dominated. I mean, this season he dominated the regular season. He dominated it, and then I don't even remember how many points he ended with, but he didn't show up in the in the Eastern Conference Final. Kreider got 1 goal. Zibanejad disappeared. I've got nothing else to say. Miserable.
For Zibanejad.
Absolutely miserable.
Panarin did score the last Rangers goal.
Woohoo!
I believe.
Woohoo! Yay!
You think they would consider buying out Panarin at this point?
No, that buyout would be ridiculous.
That last goal by Panarin was Bobrovsky's parting gift to his best friend. That's what that was.
I don't think the Rangers need to make too many moves, which if you tune in to our last episode of the season, we're going to kind of go into what teams need to do. But I don't think the Rangers need to overreact.
If I'm reading this right, it's not a lot on the buyout because he's owed $18 million, but 16 mil of that is signing bonus, and I don't think you get that in a buyout. So if I'm reading this correctly, it would be $333,000 for 4 years. I could be wrong if I'm reading this wrong, but
to be honest,
I still wouldn't do it.
To be honest, I don't know much about how the buyout works. I'm not going to lie. I would have to do more research on that. He's got to go.
Yeah, with $2 million in salary remaining, the cost is $1.3 million, and the savings is $6.3.
I also didn't like the trade for Trouba initially, so I might be a little biased on that, but I don't know. I'm very upset. I'm very upset with him. So
it sucks because unlike I don't hate all the original 6 teams, just most of them. I was actually rooting for the Rangers. I think I really wanted to see Kreider win.
Surprise.
You know what I mean? Obviously the Panthers are dirty, eating bastards, so we don't want to see them go anywhere.
You don't
But
hate
that's
original
why it's
6
going to be Oilers
teams.
and 5.
What about
You say
the
the same
Arizona
crap
Coyotes?
every other
Mm.
Bruins fan says.
I'm not a big
They
St.
all are
Louis
so-
Blues fan either.
No, but the
do
Coyotes,
now.
original 6.
Plus, Florida Panthers fans will become just like Vegas fans last year. They'll be unbearable. Unbearable. We got a cup. Yes.
Speaking
This
of
is why I
unbearable,
stopped
Banner,
chatting in the
return to
chat
the
because you
Atlantic.
guys made me feel like crap every time I celebrated anything.
Not about
Well, Mike, I just won't
not
talk
about
to you
feeling like
guys
crap.
because you.
No. You can't put emotions in this. This is just hockey shit talking in general. It's nothing personal. It's just how it goes. Just like if there was a Vegas Golden Knights admin, we would be all over them, just like we have without them being here. So it's
Fair
nothing personal yet. I'll let you know.
yeah.
No, just kidding.
No, but speaking of unbearable,
Oh.
Brett, give us your take of.
Yeah, see, I'm
just
like
kidding.
afraid to say
What
anything.
the
Like, like,
It was a joke. I'm just kidding. I'm just rizzing him.
I slipped.
I'll just say that the Panthers looked very confident, and I'm glad that they didn't celebrate winning the Prince of Wales. They're like, we know we got more to do this time. And they looked confident all series. They came in with a game plan. It worked. Hopefully the same thing will happen against Edmonton.
Barkov was very careful not to even breathe on
Very.
that trophy. He was just like,
There's some
So
great pics of it. Like, yeah, just
I love that
They
picture.
showed
It's
it on
funny.
clip. They showed a clip of Maurice like pulling Barkov
Don't
aside after
touch
they won,
that
being like,
trophy.
"Don't you go near that thing."
yeah. Apparently, this was
Play.
funny in the post game interviews. And I don't know if Barkov was being facetious here, but he said Maurice said the same thing last year, but he touched it anyway. So
I saw that. Yeah.
I wonder who decides it. Would it be the captain? Is the captain the guy
I would
who's
think
like,
so.
"Hey, we're
captain
not
is
gonna-"
ultimately the one who decides. Yeah, because it's presented to the captain, just like the cup is presented to the captain. The Clarence Campbell and the Prince of Wales are presented to the captain. So I mean, if Barkov didn't touch it and someone else did, that would have not been okay.
But if Barkov wanted to touch it, but Paul Maurice was like, "Don't touch it," would that be an issue?
Well, allegedly they did that last year.
That's what I'm saying. And then Maurice said, there's all these images of them celebrating with it in the locker room. So I had to act like I told them to do that, but he was like, I did not. Like,
Dude, he was all over it last year. He was like hugging it last year. And this year he's just like, nope.
COVID.
hey,
He
and
looked
that's the.
more uncomfortable on that carpet than he does on the ice.
That's right.
All in all,
So this is my weekly.
go ahead.
I was going to say this is my weekly stroking session of Bill Zito. What a masterclass by a GM for a team who wasn't really going anywhere about 4 years ago. Trading 2 players that didn't really want to be there in Huberdeau and Uyghur, and bringing in Bennett, bringing in Reinhart, bringing in Kachuk, Montour, Forsling. He changed that whole team in 5 years, and now they're essentially perennial top contenders. You know, like this year coming up, it'll be very interesting for them. You know, they got Reinhart, Tarasenko,
Montour.
Montour, Kulikov. They're all UFAs. Lundell's an RFA, so they got some choices to make for sure.
I
But,
think, yeah, with what you're saying, Cass, about like Zito doing all, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I feel pretty confident that the only players on this team that weren't drafted, signed, or traded for by Zito are Aaron Ekblad and Alexander Barkov. The rest of the team is all Zito.
I believe it too. Like, what a signing! 4 years, $3 million for Evan Rodriguez. He played outstanding, at least in the Bruins series that I watched. Like,
He's off and
not-
on, but yeah.
He's just like, it's crazy. Like for Hagee, what a bargain for him. I mean, he's going into his last year at $4.16 million next year. That's a bargain. Even all these defensemen that he signed this year, knowing that the defense was banged up going into this year, masterclass by Bill Zito. Credit where credit's due. How did he not get considered? And Billy Guerin got the job for these 4 Nations tournaments. I don't understand that. I think it should be Zito's job the Olympics. Because you look at what Minnesota Wild have done, he's a name that everyone knows, don't get me wrong. But I feel like Zito deserves that job.
I think the reason that Guerin got it was because he didn't have the opportunity to run it because of COVID last time.
It was a makeup.
Yeah, it was a makeup. Like, sorry, here
Well,
you
then
go.
give him the Four Nation and give Zito the Olympics or something like that. So, but it's fair for the Canadians for losing both those because Don Sweeney's the GM.
Oh boy.
More
Before we move
unbearable
on.
talk. Oh,
Jesse, do you put any of these last? Did the Panthers win 3 in a row or 2 in a row?
It was
It was 3.
it was 3 in a row. Yeah.
Okay. Do you put any of these 3 losses on Peter Laviolette as a coach, or do you put it on the players more?
I definitely put it on the players more. I think it was really weird that he didn't do anything like line combination wise to try and respond to the way the Panthers were just demolishing everybody that was on the ice. I don't think that Laviolette is to blame necessarily. I mean, I also do think that this year, despite what happened, it was successful. I mean, they made it to the Eastern Conference Final under a first-year head coach. They just got outplayed. They got outgunned. The better team won. That's just what happened. There was nothing that they could do to respond to the way the Florida Panthers were just demolishing them. There were 3 players that showed up in that series: Igor Shesterkin, Vinny Trocheck, and Alexis Lafreniere. Everyone else was nowhere to be seen. Adam Fox is speculated to be hurt, so I'll give him a pass.
Bro.
Everyone else can eat it.
does that change if you get the injury report that we'll talk about next week and see what was going on?
Ask me next week.
Yeah, fair enough. Jonathan Quick looked great sitting behind the
Way over.
glass. You should let him be in the list of he showed up.
He was more of a locker room presence, I think, for them in the entire playoffs. I mean, the way that Igor Shesterkin was playing, you can't even consider putting Jonathan Quick in.
No, but he looked good behind the glass.
The only reason that we won 2 games was because of Shesterkin. There was no other player on that team that gave them a chance. No other player on that team that gave them a chance. They were getting walked all over every single game. Every game.
In your opinion, did Bobrovsky play outstanding, or were they just not getting to him, kind of like the Bruins weren't?
I mean, I thought I said in the beginning, in I think it was game 1 or 2, that Bobrovsky was playing well. He's a Vezina caliber goalie. I mean, he was playing very well. There were some goals that got in that were like, how did that happen? But overall, I thought he played very well. They're
not
just
like a over the top Vezina caliber stealing games, kind of.
no. I think that the team in front of him was just a better team.
That's what I was looking for.
Just the better team. There's no other answer to it. If you were watching all of those games, they looked close. They looked close, but that was because Shesterkin was making outrageous saves that he shouldn't have made. The Rangers did not put pucks on net. They were not scoring. The top line, the superstars, were doing nothing. They all disappeared. They're all on the back of milk cartons in New York right now. Frustrating.
Do you have anything to add before we go over to the disappointing other side of this league?
I was just going to say, I agree. Even as a Panthers fan, I agree with Jesse that Bobrovsky wasn't the reason we won this series or the reason why we kept the Rangers scoring down. That was all the defense and all the defensive forward play. You know, I think Bobrovsky has been able to do well at doing this thing where he can go with long stretches without facing a shot and still be ready to go once the pressure comes, which is awesome. But he's not stealing us games like Igor was for New York.
Barkov is difficult to play against. There's no doubt about that. The way that dude plays that game is incredible, absolutely incredible. Hate it.
Like he found another gear this year. You know
I
what
hate
mean?
it. I hate
Like,
it. I mean,
Wild.
even like Kachuk, man. Like even Kachuk didn't real. I feel like he didn't really get under anyone's skin. Like he was playing pretty clean for the most part. There's nothing I could remember thinking of. There's nothing I remember seeing where I was like, damn, I really hate Matt Kachuk. Like the entire team just rolled and gelled very well. It was a well-oiled machine, and Paul Maurice outcoached Laviolette. That's the end of it.
Yeah, I feel like, especially for the Bruins series, I feel like Bennett kind of took that instigator role away from Matt Kachuk and allowed him to play more hockey and less under the skin. The way Sam Bennett was playing. That's just my opinion on that. All right, let's cue the music for Ethan. Letting me down one more time.
Poor Ethan. Poor Ethan.
Poor Cass.
I'll
I
keep
could have had
it-
$300.
Poor
I'll
Ethan
keep-
and Cass.
No, forget Cass.
Forget Cass. Poor Ethan.
Kids have to have Cheerios
Uh,
for 3 weeks now because you guys screwed this up.
You weren't
I'm
able
sure
to cash that out anyway.
They're over the moon about it.
As long as it's Honey Nut Cheerios.
They were
I'll
all
keep
cheering Go Stars with you in Carolina, so they're not. James is so disappointed in you guys.
No,
right
no,
now.
they're
I don't
they're probably happy about only Cheerios for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, Honey
Uh,
Nut. We go.
there you
big or
go.
home.
You
They're
at
actually,
least
they're
get a
actually
little.
Toasted Oats, Walmart brand. They're not even the real Cheerios brand.
Great value. What the
I'll
hell
keep
is
it
this?
Quick. I'll keep it quick because I gotta go put down stuff because storms are coming.
You could put me down too.
Hey, join me. I think the Oilers were underestimated, and I think it's similar to what Jesse just said about the coaching being outmatched. I've been tooting the horn of Pete DeBoer being great at adjusting, and he got out adjusted by Knobloch, and it's it looked like after the 2-1 series lead from the Stars, it was like that emptied the tank. And then we just started playing like the New York Rangers against the Panthers.
You're
I was like,
laughing, but
"Geez,
no,
sorry."
you're laughing. But I texted you. I was like, I didn't realize the Rangers were playing tonight, and it was the game. It was what, game 5? They looked terrible.
They didn't deserve to win the round. Edmonton definitely stepped it up. So props to Edmonton. I can't sit here and be like, no, it was unfair. The Stars should have won it. Blah, 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 blah. They shouldn't have. I said after the 2-1 lead, if the Stars give up 3 straight, they don't deserve to go to the Cup. And that's what happened, and they don't deserve to go to the Cup.
What kills
think-
me about that game last night is Edmonton had 10 shots on goal.
And only 8. And only 8 with 10 minutes to go. Like, under 10 with 50 minutes of game time.
Yeah, I've said this for a long time, and I'm just going to say it again. The Stars make mediocre goalies look amazing. And that was the case last night. For all the other games we've lost in the playoffs against Vegas, against Colorado, and up until last night against Edmonton, it was put the puck on net, put the puck on net. You can't win a game. In game 5, they had 6 shots halfway through the game. You're not going to win like that, especially when you then look at game 6 and you had over 30 shots against Skinner and still couldn't win. It's just, but I don't blame Ottinger. There are a lot of Stars fans out there who say Ottinger's the problem. How do you let in that many goals? with
Oh
that
God,
few
just
shots?
send him to Seattle, please.
It's it's ridiculous. I think the saddest part for me, I don't know if you guys watched any of the player interviews after the game, but Wyatt
Oh,
Johnston, Tyler Sagan, and Jamie Benn were specifically asked about Joe Pavelski,
I did see that.
and all 3 of them choked up. Specifically, Wyatt Johnston. He definitely looked like he was about to lose it the most because he's been living with
I was
him,
gonna
right?
say he's been living
Yeah.
with him. Yeah.
And it was just around the idea of like, if this is his last go, what would you have to say about his impact? And they all just nearly broke down. And that's a sign that tells me he's probably retiring. But I also wouldn't be shocked if he does let's make one more run. But you could see his age caught up to him this playoffs.
You guys keeping Suter?
One thing,
I mean,
Unfortunately, probably.
He still got 67 points in 82 games during the regular season. So I know he didn't produce in the playoffs, but he still got it to play solid minutes in the NHL.
It was about halfway through the season you could see it start to fall off, and then once you get to the playoffs, it's under a magnifying glass, and it just looked like 39 slapped him hard in the face, and he just rolled over.
You guys, Jesse, you were kind of comparing the Stars to the Rangers. I don't know if you guys realized this, but the home and road teams won the same games in that series. It went the road team wins, then the home team wins, then the road team wins, then the home team wins, then the road team wins, and the home team wins. And it went like that for both series.
Let me double down on that even further in the fact that both the Rangers and the Stars were hoping for a repeat conference finals from their last Stanley Cup win.
Right.
The Rangers in 94 in the Eastern Conference Finals, same pattern. Lost game 1, won game 2 and 3, lost game 4, 5, and then went on to win game 6 and 7. The Stars did the same thing in 1999, and we were both hoping for the repeat, but no dice. I think
The universe told us to go to hell.
yeah, essentially. But I'm not. Obviously, I'm sad. But the Stars, I think they have a 5-year window with the talent, the aging guys, stuff like that. There are gaps to be filled, but I think we have a good 5-year window. I don't think this is, let's hit rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, you still got Heiskanen, who's still young at this point. Robertson, who's still young at this point. Rupe Hintz. You've got Stankoven, who's coming up. Wyatt Johnston, obviously. Yeah, so there's a great core there in Dallas. This is definitely not the last time you'll see them make it this far.
Maverick Bourque as well. I thought he played great last night, too.
You see both Duchesne and Tanev coming back?
I think it's going to come down to, for Duchesne, I think it comes down to if he wants to try again with Dallas. All season long, he has said he's never played on a team that he felt more confident with. Just the atmosphere in the locker room. He's never felt like he could win it more than he did this year. So if he does like a team-friendly thing and wants to keep chasing that, I think he would re-sign. And I think the Stars would be happy to do that. For Tanev, I've always been weary about him re-signing because when he came to Dallas and then, what's his face? Not Harley, Hanley. Hanley went to Calgary off of waivers. Tanev let Hanley stay in his house.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't sell his house. He didn't put his house up for sale. I almost think he might want to just go back to Canada. But maybe it changes. I don't know. We have a lot of cleaning up.
You have $15.5 million cap space too.
Yeah, we've got some cleanup.
Not a lot,
but
all right.
Congrats to Edmonton.
Amanda, you still awake over there? Who do you have and in how many games?
Thanks. As Ethan mentioned before, my track record is not great.
Choose Florida.
I'll say Oilers in 6. So congrats, Brett.
Hey, you guys have all picked anti-Panthers the last 2 rounds, so just go ahead. Go ahead. You can all pick Edmonton.
I'll choose Edmonton in 6 as well then. As I'm just gonna keep with the track record. I'm eventually gonna hit gold some point. I don't know if this is gonna come to fruition. I just I just don't want the Panthers to win. Gonna be honest. They remind me of the Bruins from 10 years ago. And yeah.
Didn't you like that?
Yeah, but no.
If we didn't beat the Bruins, then he would feel different. The fact that we beat them multiple times definitely impacted.
Last year hurt a lot more than this year. We didn't have the expectations this year of beating you guys. Everyone can agree with that. We were the underdogs the whole series. So this year definitely didn't hurt as much as last year. Without a question, the Panthers deserve to be where they are. And honestly, they're a slight favorite as betting odds go going into the Stanley Cup final. This whole Stanley Cup final hinges on one player, Stuart Skinner. So if he plays like he did the last two games, Oilers have a shot. If he lays a freaking turd, Oilers are screwed. We'll know in 2 games whether or not this is going to be a series or not. I have Edmonton in 6. Brett.
I feel confident in the Panthers. I think we learned a lot from last year. I think we finally get it done. And this is going to be an over-eager expectation. But I want the Panthers to win at home, so I'm going to say Cats in 5.
Jesse.
After watching Florida play 6 games against the New York Rangers, I can't foresee them losing. I think they're going to win it in 6. Florida in 6.
Ethan.
It's not because they beat us, but I'm going to take the Panthers in 7. I think Edmonton is. What's that?
Overtime? 7th game? Imagine Brett's heart. Are you going to watch all these games live?
Hey, I watched all the Rangers series. So
I think the Panthers win it. They're going to exhaust Edmonton. Edmonton's already a little bit getting. They're starting to get fatigued. But I also think Edmonton is going to pull a repeat of the 2006 Stanley Cup Finals, where they made another Eastern Conference team a Stanley Cup champion for the first time, and that would have been
the Carolina
Hurricanes. So I think Edmonton does it again. They give a cup to a team for the first time, and that team is the Florida Panthers.
There we go.
As far as these,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say as far as these predictions, Dallas losing killed my perfect bracket. I was so close.
Oh, we're aware.
So close.
But
I did not bring it up in a long time.
The last thing I'll say, and then I'm about to jet outside because it's starting to pour. We underestimated Florida throughout the whole playoffs. We all did, other than Brett. And we underestimated Edmonton, and especially at the start of the regular season. I mean, the fact they started the way they did and they're here now, that's crazy. So to me, it's 2 teams that were underrated in my mind, and that's something to be proud about for both of those fan bases.
So, before we go, I just want to say, I just happened to look at the AHL standings. It's wild that Seattle announced Danny Biles as head coach while he's still in the Western Conference Finals in the AHL.
How about that?
It's freaking weird. It's like a farewell tour for him. But that's all I have to add to that.
All right, if you guys want to keep going, I'm just going to sign off for myself real quick. My name's
we can end it. We can close it.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to be the party pooper.
How dare you, you party pooper. That does it for us this week. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. My name is Jesse.
This is Brett.
This is Cass.
This is a sad Ethan.
And this is Amanda.
I really, really hate hockey.
Happy.
Hate it. Have a good week.
You love